The quality management purpose is to ensure and establish the quality of the processes, data, and documentation that we are dealing with in relation to clinical research activities. The system consists of multidisciplinary activities which needs comprehensive supervision throughout the whole study and not only at one point. Keep in mind that a lot of activities in QMS is based on the risk-based management, implying that some activities are to be monitored more closely than the others. It is QMS responsibility to determine what activities need more attention than the others based on potential risk of the system. QMS concept is applied to provide standards throughout the study, to design the study, perform it in a reliable manner, monitor each and every step to make sure the integrity of the data which has been generated, and finally record and report the results in an appropriate way. But above all, the main objective is to protect the rights and well-being of our study participants. The team should completely comply with the Helsinki Declaration and make sure that they are not jeopardizing the safety of our participant in the course of the study. Before we move into details, I would like to draw your attention to the most used terminology within the area, namely quality assurance and quality control, QA and QC. If you look at the definition of these two, they sound very similar, don't they? But in practice, the QA can be compared with watching a forest to be preserved against any hazard which can destroy the ecology of the place. To protect it against fire, illegal hunting, having it prepared and properly signed for the people who are walking through or using it. Sometimes the forests are used for different sport activities, and the forest keepers make sure that they are prepared for those who are going to use it for that purpose. In summary, QA is all about preparation, protection, and risk assessment followed by proper correction and preventive action. QC is the series of activities which should be performed to help to keep the oversight in detail. Within the QA, QC can compare with watching the individual trees in that forest. Of course, it is not possible to look after each and every tree in a forest. So, QC is the art of detection and determination of the exposed points and activities to make sure that the outcome is according to the specifications. That's why that the QC and QA go hand in hand. QA makes a risk-based assessment to provide the sufficient tools to the QC for a proper quality control. There are some essential elements in a QMS. A glance into the organogram gives the inspector a hint that how the company has been structured and managed. Let's look at the reporting routes of different roles. For example, QA head. QA head should be able to report directly to the head of the organization and have full rights to implement corrective and preventive actions in case of deviation and non-compliance. Then, how the site collects and analyzes the data. The investigators and sponsors invest resources, time, and effort to conduct a clinical trial. Subjects provide their time to answer all research questions. Data should be analyzed to answer the hypothesis. If the organization doesn't have enough resources, they may contract the work to a third party. To keep the quality and validity of the result, they have to have quality agreements on hand. The organization should consistently produce the required level of data quality. Contracts should be in place prior to commencement of the trial, clearly indicating the responsible parties, names, roles, expected outcomes, legal terms, validity, confidentiality, and so on. The main contract is the contract between the sponsor and the principal investigator. The company or organization may have a contract with a laboratory for blood testing or with an off-site archiving facility to archive all documents for the required period. They may also have a contract with companies to provide calibration to devices or maintenance to the equipment. They have to make sure that these service providers have been fit for purpose by auditing them prior to finalization of the agreement. Another important example of documentation is the standard operating procedures, or as we say, SOPs. They are simply instruction on how to perform an activity in practice. In order to ensure standard performance and desired outcome, all processes in a trial must be defined in SOPs, such as how to obtain informed consent, how to report, how to handle serious adverse events. SOPs should be controlled documentation. They should have an identification number, title, version number, date of preparation, effective date, who has prepared it, who has authorized it, and most importantly, whom does it apply to? It may sound funny, but every organization should have an SOP for writing an SOP. In a good QMS, all staff should be qualified for the activity she or he is responsible for. The qualification should be documented by official CV and job description. The ultimate responsibility of every aspect of the clinical trial relies on the principal investigator. However, the task can be allocated to the qualified study personnel on a delegation list. The name of the delegate, activities to be performed, date of initiation and termination of the task, delegate initials, as well as principal investigator's signature must be captured on that list. The qualification of study personnel should be maintained constantly according to a training SOP and should be documented on a training log. An important part of the QMS is the data management. The data management should be handled and maintained to allow the full data cycle of a company. Study information can be kept and recorded on the forms and templates. They can be in paper form or electronic form. Regardless, their formats, the same requirements apply to any type of documentation. Logs should provide a comprehensive list of the information that needs to be logged. The logs should be controlled documentation and paginated in a proper manner to function as an audit trail. Logs should be provided in a manner that make it impossible to be replaced. Therefore, we suggest logbooks with glued and numbered pages. QMS is about bringing it all together. All parties are responsible for ensuring the quality throughout the trial with the main purpose of protecting the safety of study participants and assuring and controlling data quality and validity. we should know our roles and responsibilities. All parties should use monitoring in all its forms, including auditing. For example, safety monitoring by a data safety monitoring board, monitoring visits and auditing by sponsor, supervision that study staff follow the procedures by investigators, assuring the ethical aspect compliance by ethics committee. And it is your responsibility as GCP inspector to make sure that the quality management system has succeeded to take care of the well-being of the participants and deliver reliable results in the end.